27 minutes past 8. So, the Ministry of Justice has sparked outrage after confirming that serial killer Levi Bellfield is engaged and has applied to marry in prison.
Yes, he is serving 2 whole life sentences for the murders of Marsha MacDonald, Amélie Delagrange and Millie Dowler. Joining us now is the Justice Minister, Victoria Atkins. Very good morning to you. Well, the former Justice Secretary, Robert Buckland, has already spoken out against this. People will be rightly shocked to hear that a man capable of such depraved crimes and is rightly imprisoned is able to form a relationship of this kind. This is because, as The Sun is reporting, the Ministry of Justice has confirmed, Levi Bellfield has proposed to his prison visitor partner. What do you make of it as Justice Minister?
I think it is absolutely appalling. This man is an evil, evil monster who has left a trail of despair and grief in his wake. And I just feel so... My heart goes out to the families, actually, because yet again, this appalling human being is on the front pages and they're having to think about him. So I discovered this last night, just to reassure viewers that it is an application at this moment. When these happen, and they're rare, I've only known of, I think, one since I was appointed in September, but when these applications occur, the prison governor must consider them. But I've asked for an urgent review on what is going on, because I do not want victims' families to have to deal with this sort of news as they live with their extraordinary loss and grief.
Will you be able to stop it?
Well, there is a law, the prisoner marriage law, that permits prisoners to get married, and we have a convention right, Article 12 under the European Convention, that permits marriage, freedom of marriage, which is why I'm particularly interested in our debate around the Bill of Rights, this legislation we want to bring forward, looking at human rights legislation and how it's protecting our rights, but also ensuring that those rights aren't exploited by, if you like, bad actors. And so this is something I've asked for an urgent review late last night, and we will look at this very, very carefully.
So
I absolutely understand what the public say on this.
Yeah, and I can totally understand that people are appalled and sickened by this. But as you say, this is a right that is enshrined in legislation. Whatever you might think about the awfulness of the person who is claiming that right and applying to get married, is it something that you are considering overturning? This in particular, that prisoners, murderers who are serving whole life sentences would be deprived the right to get married?
Well, this is, as I say, just to reassure people, it's very rare. I've only known of one prisoner in the time I've been Prisons Minister apply for an application, and they were not on a whole life tariff. So just, as I say, to reassure people, but most certainly I'm looking at this. I am absolutely dismayed that someone who has committed these crimes, and of course, who has denied the young women that you've described, their right to get married, their right to settle down and have families. I'm appalled that someone like this can make an application and to get married. So we're looking into it very, very carefully. Just watch this space, please, because I can't announce policy on the hoof if you'll forgive me.
There are a number of legal issues going on at the minute as well. One of the other cases that would be interesting to get your perspective on, that we're going to be debating very shortly, and of course it is gripping the nation for good or bad reasons, is the case of libel between Colleen Rooney and Rebecca Vardy. Lots of suggestions that a case like this shouldn't be heard in the High Court. It should have been settled out of court. We know the judge tried to get it settled, tried to get them to settle it. They didn't feel like that was going to happen, and Rebecca Vardy wanted to clear her name. I wonder what your position on is court cases like this and whether they should be allowed.
Well, look, I'm not allowed to comment on ongoing cases. It's a matter for the judge, obviously, who's overseeing this. But we want to preserve the freedom of expression. It's one of the things that we're looking at with the Bill of Rights that we're bringing forward. We want to enable free discussions. We also, the Deputy Prime Minister is looking at how our courts are being used in the context of Russia and certain oligarchs and their behaviours over recent years. But as for this particular case, clearly no Russian oligarchs involved, but I don't feel I can really comment. What I would say, however, is that we have a justice system that is admired around the world, and importantly, our judges are trusted around the world. So it is as much for the reputation of our justice system and the cases that this brings into our courts and the impact, the benefits that has for our economy. We're very, very keen to ensure that our lawyers and our judges continue to be world leaders in administering justice.
The Attorney General has approved scrapping parts of our Brexit deal, the Northern Ireland Protocol in particular. Is that legal?
So I think you're referring that there were reports today, I understand, about an opinion that had been sought from Queen's Counsel. The Attorney General seeks legal opinions from Queen's Counsel on a whole range of issues. I myself haven't seen any such opinion, but when we look at what is happening in Northern Ireland, we're very, very concerned about the destabilising impact that this uncertainty is having, both on the political situation, but also how it's affecting people at home. So we know that prices are going up, shelves are going empty, and we want to try and find a solution to this with the EU. We're very much hopeful that we'll be able to find a solution with the EU on this. But
yes, so this is Suella Braverman. This is a report in the Times this morning. Suella Braverman is the Attorney General, and she's advised that legislation to override the Northern Ireland Protocol, which effectively puts a barrier in the sea between the British mainland and Northern Ireland, in order to avoid a border between Northern Ireland and the EU in the form of the Republic of Ireland. The protocol and overriding it would be legal because the EU's implementation of it is disproportionate and unreasonable. The EU is only implementing something that we agreed with the EU. How come we're all of a sudden realising that this was a bad idea?
Well, I think actually there have been problems for many, many months. We issued what's called a command paper in the summer last year, setting out our concerns about how it was implementing or how it was delivering for people in Northern Ireland. Look, our absolute priority are our friends, neighbours and relatives in Northern Ireland. They're part of our country, and we want to find solutions with the EU that enables us to send birthday presents to people in Northern Ireland without having to fill in 50 fields of information on a customs declaration, as one example. We want to try and find solutions to this. But
if we don't have the border there, if we don't have the checks there, is the obvious alternative to reinstate the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland? Because that is a big problem.
Yeah. Look, no. The Good Friday Agreement is a fundamental bedrock of our relationship with Ireland and us preserving peace within the United Kingdom. This is part of our nation, and so I think that in terms of the implementation, we want to find an answer to this, but we have to be clear with the EU that what they've come up with thus far is not good enough, and we think, in fact, in some ways it may make life a little bit more difficult for people. But no, the peace of Northern Ireland is precious. I visited Northern Ireland many, many times as a child, and I saw the troubles for myself, and there is no way that we will go back to that.
Just very briefly, because the Prime Minister didn't rule it out this morning, are you all considering putting a windfall tax on the excess profits of energy companies in order to help maybe fund a tax cut for people who are struggling?
Well, I'm not involved in those conversations. What I do know is that we've said all along that we will continue to review the situation as it goes. We have already been able to help last month with raising the national living wage, with helping with energy costs, because that at the moment is the most immediate pressure on people's budgets. With the energy rebate, we will be raising the national insurance threshold in July.
I'm talking specifically about a windfall tax. Is that something that is now being actively considered?
I'm not, sadly, I'm not involved in those conversations as Prisons Minister, as you'll perhaps appreciate. What I do know is that we are very, very alive to the problems that people are facing at the moment, and we want to help where we can with some of this. I mean, we have, you know, just so people are aware, we've doubled what's called the Household Support Fund. That's administered by local councils.
We do hear about the existing support, what people are interested in as we face inflation, what the new proposals are. All right, Victoria Atkins, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.